what are they for? Learning languages helps us to be effective communicators. But there is more to learning languages than being able to order an interesting entree or ask for directions when we travel overseas. If we only learn lists of vocabulary and only know how to substitute words from one language to another, we're missing out on what it means to be a powerful intercultural language learner. So what are languages really for? What motivates people to learn languages? Is it a desire to communicate with diverse groups of people? To understand other ways of thinking and being within and across cultures? Or is it the challenge of learning something new and exciting? Or simply a better understanding of how their first language works? When we look at the Australian curriculum for languages, we see a number of languages. Each of these languages has two interrelated strands: communicating and understanding. We want students to communicate in the languages they are learning, to be able to create and exchange meaning with others and to interpret what others are saying. And we want students to understand how meaning is made across different linguistic and cultural systems, that languages and culture are resources they can embrace as lifelong learners, enabling them to communicate and understand each other in rich and varied ways. So, with this in mind, let's think about two students in a South Australian school. Let's call them Lockie and Lee. How does the teacher help both Lockie and Lee become people who use languages to participate and communicate in linguistically and culturally diverse contexts? How can he support them as they develop their own identities and learn to operate simultaneously in two or more linguistic and cultural worlds? We're not just interested in whether Lockie and Lee can count to 10 and use everyday greetings in the languages they're learning. We want them to be able to use the language in meaningful interactions. And we want them to reflect on the language choices they make as communicators across languages and cultures. How does Lockie reflect on his ideas, opinions, responses and reactions as he chooses and uses language? How does he reflect on himself as a communicator by comparing his own language choices to the ones Lee makes? We want both Lockie and Lee to challenge their assumptions and consider that others might act or respond in different ways, depending on the cultural and linguistic worlds they operate in. We want them to learn about the language and develop as powerful lifelong language users in the complex linguistic and cultural diversity of the 21st century. When we catch up with Lockie and Lee in a few years' time, they are striving to operate effectively and simultaneously in different linguistic and cultural worlds as active and informed citizens. They are making language choices to actively construct meaning, make global connections to solve problems and to enrich their lives. By focusing on intercultural language learning, we can see that there is a whole lot more to learning a language than just remembering a list of words.